My name is Sally Deckard. I'm a Faculty Support and Development Associate here at Ashford, and I am very happy to be hosting Stephani Kilby's presentation, Early Academic Intervention, Reaching the Right Student at the Right Time. And Stephani is a student advising manager here at Ashford. We're really looking forward to this presentation. And the chat window is actually going to be closed for a while, and then towards the end, if we have questions, time for questions, we can open it back up again. So Stephani, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sally. Hi, everybody. Is TLC the best or what? I hope that you're enjoying day one. I think that aside from our commencement weekend festivities, TLC is one of my favorite things that we do here. I always leave the week feeling refreshed, re-energized, and like I learned a thing or two about what's going on at our university. So hopefully I can contribute to that this year. I will share that when I drove in today, it was 17 degrees. So you can tell I'm in Clinton, Iowa. It might be 80 tomorrow, who knows, but 17 today. And I don't tell you that so that you feel sorry for me, but I do tell you that because now you can have an understanding of how much coffee I've had to drink today. If I start speeding through it, I promise it's the caffeine. I'm just trying to stay warm. But anyways, as Sally said, I am a student advising manager here at Ashford University. I have been with the university for just over 5 years. And I have the privilege of leading a team of advisors who serve our military populations. So we have active duty military veterans, their spouses and dependents, along with some DoD employees and reservists. So it's quite a rewarding position. I feel privileged every day to help those advisors help those students. So a quick disclaimer before I jump all the way into the presentation. You might have noticed already, but I am not a professional speaker. I'm not polished. I make bad jokes, so hopefully you bear with me through the next 25-ish minutes or so. But I am passionate about supporting our students and about partnering with them in their success. I'm also passionate about driving initiatives that will support them here at Bridgepoint and at Ashford in reaching their mission and contributing to our mission and vision. So a quick personal story. I think part of the passion that I have comes from the fact that I was our student, quite literally. I took a non-traditional path to my degrees. I came out of high school, went straight into college, had some scholarships. Everything pointed to academic success for me, but for whatever reason, my path veered off. Several years later, I found myself down a different road, which quite possibly could have become a dead end for me. But I found Ashford, and I found the support here that I needed, and I was able to finish my bachelor's degree that I'd started years before and go on to get my master's degree. So our students hold a special place in my heart just because when I think about walking in their shoes, I quite literally did that for a significant time in my life. So getting into the presentation, I'm going to jump ahead by jumping back. So I'm going to take it way back. The year was 2017, last year this time. So we had been embarking on this crazy adventure in student services called community advising. And as a department, we were looking at changing our advising philosophy to more of a group approach. So you've heard the old adage, it takes a village to raise a child. Our thought was that it takes a community to graduate a student. And so we were in the midst of that change, that shift in our culture, where we were really splitting our advisors into very specific advising groups so that they could best advise their groups of students based on their specific knowledge. So while that was going on, myself and a couple managers here in Clinton, Iowa, thought in order for our advisors to be able to really truly do the best that they possibly can with this new community advising initiative, we needed to take it back to the basics when it comes to critical thinking. How can we approach things from a different perspective? How can we design strategies with students and measure the results? So we set up a critical thinking workshop for our group of advisors here, about 30 employees. And our VP at the time, Shelley Moore, put the challenge to us to come up with one wildly important goal. So if you're familiar with the 4 disciplines of execution, you'll be familiar with the WIGs, the wildly important goals. And while all of this was going on in the background, we were noticing a trend with our students where our dismissals were going up. Most significantly, those students that were being dismissed for consecutive unsuccessful grades. So the challenge was, use what you've learned in the critical thinking workshop and develop a strategy to overcome our unsuccessful grade dismissals. And they did not disappoint. If you ever need a new strategy that's outside the box, take it to the grassroots and the front lines, because they will come up with ideas that you never dreamed of. And that's exactly what happened. They approached unsuccessful grades from a different perspective, realizing they're not good for our students, they're not good for us. How can we change that? At the time, we really were approaching everything from a reactive perspective. So student not being successful in class, posts an unsuccessful grade, advisor gets alerted, reaches out, and talks about how we can offer support for the next time. But there was no support during the class. There was no support when there was time to change the outcome. And that's how early academic intervention was born. So before I get too much into the strategy, very important that I talk about Civitas, because without Civitas, we would not have had a product to support our early academic intervention. So Civitas Learning is a partner of ours. They're based out of Austin, Texas. They have a line of products that really support predictive analytics and proactive outreach for students. They have a mission that's called the Million More Mission, and their thought is that together with their community of partners, they want to help 1 million more students per year graduate. And this goal is to achieve the 1 million more students by 2025, help them learn better, finish strong, and complete what they start. I had the opportunity to visit Civitas at their summit in April, and I can tell you that they are well on their way to achieving this strategy. Civitas believes that insight and action are both vital, but that action informed by those insights, that's where the transformation happens. So we could get on board with that, right? I think that several weeks ago, I had the opportunity to talk with some of my peer managers, and one of them said something that's really stuck with me. And he said, we're data rich, but we're information poor. So I think in our department, and it's probably not just our department, but we're overwhelmed with the amount of information that we're always taking in. But we're not sure how to analyze or what to do with that. Like I said, it's not our department probably, it's probably our whole university. It might even be society as a whole, right? We are overloaded with information, but we lack wisdom to know what to do with it. And so Civitas has this goal of making it a little bit more palatable, help you take those insights and create actions. And they do this by utilizing predictive analytics so that you can reach the right student at the right time. I'm going to show you just a little bit about what one of our platforms looks like. So this is Inspire for Advisor. So like I said, Civitas does have a wide variety of products. Inspire for Advisor is one that we use most in student services, and it does support our early academic intervention strategy. The reason I want to show you this is that it's vital to how our strategy works. Two key indicators that Civitas use in terms of predictions is persistence probability and engagement. So if we have any faculty or instructors with us today, engagement comes into play, right? You're probably familiar with Inspire for Faculty, which is the sister product of Inspire for Advisors. Engagement tells us student is participating in class, not participating. How well are they participating in terms of comparison with their peers? Persistence probability is what we use mostly in Inspire for Advisor, and that tells us if a student is likely to persist to the next term, to the next year, based on some intervention and inspiration factors. So this is just a mock-up of what potential student could look like. And every advisor has access to this. So you can see this is just a dashboard. It shows GPA, how many credits they've completed. It shows at the top about persistence probability and if there has been a change recently. Maybe a student was doing really well and we anticipated that they would persist. And then something happened over the last couple months and they no longer are likely to persist. What types of identifiers can we find to help support that student and get them back on the right road? In the middle, you can see they have inspiration and intervention factors. So this particular student averages 90% grades in all the current courses. Cumulative GPA of 3.25. Not a student that would ever pop on our radar as somebody that might need support. If you look further down, she's only completing credits in about half of her attempts. So when she's in class, she's being successful, but she's dropping half the time. And this is what we wanted to use to be able to identify students and to be able to have that proactive outreach and make a difference when we still had time to do it. So now the meat of it, right? This is what everybody's here for. So as I said before, early academic intervention was quite the grassroots effort. I'm extremely proud of our advisors here because this was really an idea that they thought up within themselves. They worked to strategize, design, roll it out. We rolled it out in January of this year, just in our location, 30 advisors. And within 2 weeks of starting the strategy, we had decided that it needed to be done on the department level because it was just so good. We had a lot of support for it, and there was a need for it. So early academic intervention is designed to identify students who are engaged in class, they're participating, but they're in need of a little bit of support. For whatever reason, they're not being successful. This is a really great complement to Inspire for faculty. And I think early on there had been some concerns that there might be a little bit of stepping on toes, right? If we're reaching out to them as advisors and you're reaching out to them as faculty, aren't we just going to have a communication overload with this student, right? Why would they ever want to answer an email when they're just getting it from all different directions? So I wanted to show you a little bit. I think you'll find these numbers kind of amazing. So 4,000, that's the number of weekly nudges on average that are sent through Inspire for faculty. 4,000, that's amazing, right? This really is since June when it picked up full-fledged, so I didn't consider the pilot in this, but 4,000 a week through Inspire for faculty. 1,500, that's our weekly average for Inspire for advisors, our early intervention outreach. This is a combination of emails and phone calls that come from our advisors. So 4,000, 1,500, we're talking 6,500 different outreaches per week that are happening through these Civitas products. But how surprising is it that only 5% of them overlap? So on average, we have about 300 students per week that receive both a message from their faculty through IFF as well as an advisor message due to early intervention. 5% is not a lot. And I think what that shows us is that while these systems complement each other, we have two very distinct strategies, and we're really maximizing our efforts to reach as many students as we can for the reasons that they need us to. So how do we identify the students that are in need of support, are participating, they're just not able to overcome whatever challenges they have? So we identify them in Inspire for Advisors on day 1 of week 3. These are students who have posted within the last 7 days, so they're being active in class, but they have a current grade below 70%. Anywhere from 0 to 70, that's who's going to pull into this group. On average, between undergrad and grad students, we average about 900 per start date. Once the students are identified, each advisor is notified through activities in Campus View which students they need to start outreach on. So this typically happens on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, advisors go into their group of students. They'll compare with Canvas gradebook and any other notes or resources they have to see what's going on with the student or what are some potential challenges that they need to overcome. Sometimes students are posting late. It's just a matter of some time management resources to help them get their assignments in on time to get full credit. Some students are posting on time, but it's the quality of the content. They're not understanding the assignments. Maybe they don't have a textbook yet. So those are a different type of scenario, different outreach that would be needed. Once they identify why a student may need the outreach, then they start making calls. We ask the advisors to make at least 3 outbound phone call attempts that first week, so week 3 of their course. If they don't reach them, to send an email. Once they do reach the student, then they just use their expertise, right? That's what this is all about. Put the information in their hands so they can do what they do best. They'll work with the student, provide them resources. Oftentimes we just advise that they reach out to their instructor to loop them in to whatever is going on in their life that's causing them to be unsuccessful. And then they're required to set a follow-up anytime in the final 2 weeks of the course, just to check in with the student. If they see that the student has pulled their grade up to passing, we still reach out, send them an email. Hey, way to go. You brought your grade up from a 65 up to an 80. Keep up the great work. Finish strong. And then if they're still struggling, then we work with them on the importance of the final assignment, how to get full credit for points, what resources they have to review the paper. This really is all about proactive outreach. It's the first time that we've been able to identify during a class what students may be struggling. And this is all because of Civitas and Inspire for advisors being able to connect with Campus View and Canvas to pull in that data for us. So again, we do our outreach through phone and email. We also offer additional support and resources through Illume. Illume is another one of the products that Civitas offers, and it's an even higher level view of what's going on with our students. So we use the same filters and identifiers to be able to group students through Illume, and then we are able to send emails in a mass sort of way, but still very individualized. We can assign the email to have a signature from the advisor, and then we can track the email, and that's what's the best part about it. We can see who opens the email. If we include a link in the email, we can see who clicks through the email. So that way we know that we're on target with our message and that resources are being utilized. And then finally, we do use a community approach. So this contributes to the community advising philosophy that we employed last year. It doesn't have to be the assigned advisor making all of the outreach attempts. Sometimes it's great for students to hear from some different people. So if we're not able to reach the student, we'll have another advisor try a different day or a different time. We also have gotten rid of all voicemail in advising. So if a student calls to talk to their advisor and they're not available, the call will not go to voicemail. It will roll to another available advisor in their community who can help. So what's next, right? We've learned a lot over the past 9 months or so. Honestly, this got much bigger, much faster than I ever would have anticipated, but we're moving in the right direction and we're doing really great things. And we see that in our results. We hear it from our students. Our advisors are feeling like they can actually advise and they're not just checking things off a list to do. So we do have a lot of plans coming up to really make this strategy even better than what it is today. The first thing that we want to do is perfect the nudge. So if the data has told us anything, it's that students who we have successful contact with through early academic intervention pass their courses at a higher rate. Easy enough, right? If we talk to you, you have a better chance of being successful in that course. So how do we make sure that we're making the most of those interactions? How do we make sure that our advisors are being consistent about what resources they share, the support they provide? Those are things that we'll be looking at in the coming months. We talk a lot about nudges. So nudges are just short, action-oriented emails that really drive home that message of support and outreach. How do we make those as impactful as we can? Civitas has taught us that it's a lot about the subject line. Have an impactful subject line. Have identifiers that are personalized. Make sure that you mention that this is part of the Ashford community, the CHAMP community, and make sure to have an action item right within that email. They should be no more than 4 or 5 sentences though. So that's where the challenge comes in. How do we pack the most punch into just a very short message for our students to see? We also want to partner with academics. This is very important to us because what we're finding is that there are a lot of course-specific trends. What do I mean by that? We know that students who are in English 121 and 122 have a very different type of support that is needed because they seem to be trending the same for pass rate and contact rate, no matter how many we contact, no matter which resources we provide. So how can we craft our message better to make sure that we're getting them the support that they need? Same thing with Gen 102 and 103. It's a different type of course. It's not as heavy with the writing, so there are different resources that are needed. So our goal is to partner with people in academics who have ideas. So if you're out there and you teach the same course all the time and you think, you know, the students that are successful in my course have access and use this one specific resource. That's something that we would want to know because we can get that resource into the hands of our students. And then finally, we do want to utilize more diverse communication platform. So students know that we're an online university and that works for them and what they need. But we still have business hours. We're not here 24/7. And we don't always contact them the way that they want to be contacted. We contact them in a way that's convenient for us. So we want to move past just phone and email and into some other platforms. We're just on the verge of some very creative text messaging campaigns. So that would be an option for us. We also have live chat that's now live and available through student services. Civitas also offers an appointment scheduler. Students can go through their portal and click on the appointment scheduler to set up a time with their advisor that works for them. And the great thing about that is that if their advisor is not available at the time they're requesting, it will drop down and offer other members of the community to connect with. So I want to go ahead and just kind of end with this inspirational video, motivational video. It's basically a promotional video that was put together for us for Inspire for Advisor. And it really drives home the impact of that platform, talks a little bit about our early academic intervention strategy and how we know that we're really moving in the right direction for reaching the right students at the right time.
Inspire for Advisor is a game changer because we can be proactive for the first time. Historically, advisors and faculty have not communicated very much, and really I believe the sky's the limit on what we can do with that communication.
I feel like we're pulling together. It's not just advisors on one side and instructors on the other. We're actually on a team now. Oftentimes students are not successful, not through any of the aspects of what's going on in the class, but something else has happened in their life. This allows to look out and see that the student that is struggling before it actually shows up in the grade.
Advisors know things about students' personal lives that might be impactful in the classroom, and that gives them the opportunity to reach out briefly and just say, hey, student X is in this situation, are you willing to work with them? Can you connect with them?
A student I reached out to in week 3 had an unsuccessful grade, and because of IFA, I was able to catch this grade, reach out to the student, and partner the student with the instructor because it was due to medical situation, and the instructor has submitted a grade change and is working with us to really help that student pass the class. When I started as an academic advisor, I wanted to make a difference, and so many times we are reaching out to students and it's too late. So it's kind of like, well, you should have done this or you should have done that. And with IFA, I can truly make a difference. So it makes me feel like I'm making a bigger impact. This truly is a game changer for us. And another example of how Ashford is committed to being on the cutting edge to help our students and our advisors be successful.
Inspire for Advisor helps us achieve retention and success goals because it alerts us to what's going on with students. And ultimately, the reason we're here is to help students succeed, help students retain, and help students graduate.
So what do you think? That's amazing, right? That's the whole reason why all of us are here. Helping students retain, helping students graduate. Kirk Morrison always likes to say that without a degree, students just leave with debt. And so true. And we're in a position where we can really get ahead of the game, be proactive, support students, and get them to where they want to go. So I think that we do have a little bit of time. Sally can correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe we can open up the chat for some questions. If you prefer, I have my contact information here too. I'm available through email. I'm on LinkedIn. I would love to hear from you. Any ideas, comments, thoughts, something that would make this better. If you want to partner with us, collaborate, that's something that I would be really anxious to do and excited to do, and I look forward to hearing from everybody.
Stephanie, thank you very much. Your passion, it really comes across, and we are very fortunate to have you here at Ashford. We did, and I didn't know your story until this, so no wonder you're so excited and involved in what you do. I did have a quick question in the chat from Logan, who I'm thinking may be a student, and wondered what the turnaround was to be expected for an advisor to get back to a student after they contacted them.
Mm-hmm. So typical expectation is about 24 hours, but that is slightly different on weekends or holidays. Mm-hmm. If you haven't heard from your advisor within that time, I definitely recommend reaching out by phone, because if you do that and your advisor is not available for whatever reason, we'll connect you with another advisor who can help.